Hello, friends. Thank you very much for joining in. Today, I'm back with one of my student, and I'm talking to him on his experience of clearing the FRM exam. What has been his journey? And today we have with us Apoorv Joshi. He has been able to clear the FRM Level 1 in the month of January 2021, and he's planning to go for the Level 2 also. So, hi Apoorv, how are you doing? Thank you very much for joining in.
Thank you so much, sir, for having me over here. I'm good. How are you doing?
Great, great, great. So, Apoorv, what the platform that we have over here is basically we are going to be talking to our students who have cleared the FRM exam, explaining the audience about their journey, what all problems they faced, how did they clear the exam, and all of it, so that the new students can get motivated towards the exam and their queries can get resolved. So, we'll start with the first question now. So, before you decided to go for FRM, okay, okay, when did you go for FRM? You tell us that also, when you first decided for it, and before you decided, what was your background? What were you doing before
Okay, so to start with my educational qualification, I am a chartered accountant by qualification.
that?
I cleared my CA in January 2020,
Okay.
and immediately I decided to register for the FRM Part 1 for the May 2020 attempt.
Hmm.
So, based on my experience during my 3 years articleship that is mandatory for CA, I had decided to continue with FRM. And
Okay.
currently, I am working in the audit division of a multi service CA firm, which is primarily based in Mumbai, but has a
Mhm.
pan India geographical existence.
Okay. Okay. Now, when you decided to go for the FRM, okay, you must have gone through the curriculum and all, right? So, any particular reason you went for FRM? Because a lot of students they go for CFA also. Okay.
Yes.
So, what was that thought process that was there in your mind?
So, as I said, during the 3 years of my articleship experience, I had a very good exposure to audits of the banking sector as well as the entities in the other financial services sector. So,
Okay.
based on that, I wanted to choose a certification, or I would say a qualification that has a banking niche to it. And
Okay.
that is why I chose FRM, not CFA, because I guess FRM is more focused towards banking, CFA is more focused towards treasuries, equity markets, etc.
Right.
I wanted something which is very keenly focused in banking. That is the reason I chose FRM.
Okay. And when you looked at the curriculum also before you started the journey, so did you found anything which is similar to your CA? Because you had cleared your CA around that point in time. Okay. So
Yes.
any content which was similar, anything which was difficult, which you felt at the start?
Okay. So to tell you about the similar concepts, concepts such as futures, options, bond markets that were
Mhm.
in continuation with my CA syllabus. So I
Okay.
had something that was repeated from my CA syllabus as well as something that was more than what I learned in my CA syllabus. Something that was not what I learned in CA was quantitative aptitude.
Okay.
If I remember correct, after my first year of BCom, I never studied mathematics or statistics. So that was the
Okay.
first fear factor that I had when I started FRM, because I had no touch of statistics or mathematics at all.
Okay.
The only small part of statistics that we study in CA is portfolio management, where there is small topics such as standard deviation, mean,
Right.
median, that's all.
Right. So basically, book two, which is quantitative analysis, was
Yes,
slightly tricky for you because you've not had the
slightly.
background and all, right?
Yes,
So now,
also parts of
hmm,
book 4 that contain some statistical analysis or calculations,
okay, VAR methods and all that chapter,
VAR methods. Yeah.
right? Because I think so that is not a part of your CA curriculum as such.
Yes, yes,
Okay, so basically you had some base when you decided to go for this FRM exam, but obviously there's certain content which is in detailed because it is a risk management focused exam. Then also when you started the preparation, so you decided to go for May, but obviously because of the COVID, the exam got postponed now, and you got an opportunity to
yes.
go for the exam in the month of January. What what was the situation? Because you got the information about exam getting postponed for the May in the month of, I think so, March end. Okay, so till that time you must have covered a lot of your content. Then
Yes.
the exam getting postponed, then going to January. What was that entire time frame? What happened to you in terms of your preparation? In the sense, was there any slack period? Uh, was there any low motivation period? What I wanted to understand, that mental part to it.
So when I started my preparation in January, along
Mm,
with your classes, it was a good preparation when I used to come to the class, study with you, study with other students in the
mm,
class. That was a very good way to prepare it. But due to the lockdown, that all got stopped. And that was not, I would not say it was demotivating, but I would surely say it was frustrating or irritating, because
okay.
you don't know when the exam is going to be held.
Right.
You don't know when the classes will reopen.
Hmm.
So you have no idea what to do.
Okay.
But then eventually we started with online classes. We came back on track with the portion. We studied on the weekends as well as weekdays. I used to study on my own.
Hmm.
But then there was a lot of irritation because of the exam getting postponed. It was initially, I guess, scheduled in June somewhere, if
May,
I
then
remember correct.
May, and then November, and then
May and then November, and then
then
it
January.
got rescheduled to January again. So that was really irritating, but surely not demotivating, because you get a lot of extra time to prepare yourself and
Hmm.
to go through the topics again and again, so that you be better at them and eventually uh, be strong in all your concepts.
Okay. So during that period of time, you were focused only on your job and the activities related to the preparation. Nothing else, no other additional certification as of now, right?
Yeah, so as I said, I cleared my CA in Jan 20. Due to
Mm-hmm.
the lockdown, it was very difficult for me to get a job. So if you ask me about the period from March to September 2020, I was just looking for jobs with no luck. I
Hmm.
got a job in November 2020, which was, I guess, 8 months after I qualified. So that was also a part of irritation that was with
Hmm.
me, along with the exams being postponed.
Right, right, right. Because you decided something, and now that particular part is also not moving.
Yes,
And because of
yes.
COVID, job was also not there. I can understand that.
Yes. So
So,
I knew
yeah.
that I have a worthy qualification of having a job, but then you don't get a job, and I'm seeking
Hmm.
one more qualification, but the exam is not being held. So it was a very tricky position
Right.
for me, as well as very irritating.
And also, you see a lot of your friends also getting jobs, or they're already in a job because they might have cleared, say, in November last year, and they got an
Yes.
opportunity. So that also creates a lot of mental
Yes.
pressure, primarily.
Yes.
Now,
That's
you managed to stick to the FRM. You completed, because I've seen a lot of students who decided to skip the January exam because
true.
primarily, even though they're getting 1 year, okay, they could not prepare properly. Okay, so when you when the exam got postponed from May to November, okay, what was your preparation strategy? Because you must have seen the content once. So what was the
Yes.
preparation strategy that you used for that period?
So when the exam got postponed from May, initially there was a gap in my study because I did not know for what attempt I am studying. So there
Okay.
was a slight gap in my preparation, but then I coped up from June onwards.
Mhm.
So since I was not working at that point in time, I used to study for at least 3 hours for 3 days a week during the weekdays, and then we
Hmm.
had your sessions on the weekends to sum it up on.
Okay. Okay. And you were preparing from Swagger book, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yes, so yeah, I was preparing from Swasher book to revise the content. I had summary notes provided by Fintelligent.
Hmm.
So, and to revise my concepts, I also had the question bank. So, solving the questions really helped.
And so, did you solve question bank because you had the time? So, did you got an
Yes.
opportunity to solve question bank again, or is it only one time that you solved the question bank properly?
So, after I solved the question bank for once, I decided to revise the concepts instead of solving the same questions again.
Okay.
I decided to go through the concepts once again, because if I am thorough with the concept, if the question is different, I would probably be able to solve it because I'm thorough with the concept.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. And when you were preparing, okay, so was there an issue with respect to continuity? Because you said you were preparing every day. Now, the
Yes,
reason I'm asking this to you, because see, you got job in November. After that, you had an exam in November, January. So during that period of time, was there an issue with respect to maintaining that consistency?
Thankfully, there was no issue after I got the job, because when I got the job, I had already informed them that I have an exam coming up in January. So
Okay.
there was no problem for leave or no problem for any preparation of that sort. They were all very cooperative in that aspect.
Perfect, perfect.
The
Because
only gap that I faced was because the exam got postponed due to the pandemic.
right, right. So when the second time the exam got postponed from November to January, was there a slack period again in your preparation, or you just continued with the flow?
No, because it was hardly a month and a half more to the exam. So there was no gap as such. Yeah,
Hmm.
the preparation, I would say the speed was decreased a bit, but the preparation did not stop.
Okay, okay. And in terms of the difficult concepts in the exam, okay, when you are preparing, okay, on an average out of 60 chapters for your level one, what do you feel was the number of chapters that you felt, okay, this is something which I want to go read again and again, might have to read again and again? Any number of chapters that you have in mind, say five or seven, whatever
I,
that number is?
that would probably be somewhere around 7 or 8.
Hmm.
So as I mentioned in the beginning, I was always fearful about quantitative aptitude as well as about VAR and other calculation heavy chapters in book 4.
Hmm.
Even if there was a lot of calculation in options pricing, I was slightly confident about it because I had studied it in my CA curriculum.
Okay, okay,
But other than that, all my quantitative aptitude chapters and the other calculation chapters were a bit of worry for me.
okay. So did you do anything extra for that book, because you were mentally in that state that, okay, I
E-
have to tackle this? So how, what was your approach for that particular book?
Yes, so after your live sessions, I used to revisit the sessions again and again so that I am thorough with the concepts. If I miss a concept to understand, I
Hmm.
used to revisit the session again so that I understand the concept. I practice the concept. I used to
Okay,
solve questions immediately so that I used to know whether I have understood the concept,
okay, okay.
and
Because
doubts, if any, could be asked in the subsequent sessions.
right, right. So primarily the you focused more on that book because you know there was an issue you solved twice, or for
Yes,
example you went to the session twice or thrice, so that your fear
yes,
goes away. Now,
yes.
when the January exam came, 1 month before the exam, what were you doing? Any particular strategy that you used? Revision, mock papers? What was the way of preparation for that 1 month?
So 1 month before I solved the mock papers, you
Hmm.
provided us with 4 mock tests. So I solved them all in the last few weeks of the preparation timing. And about my leave period, so when I was on leave for exam preparation about 15-16 days, so that time I used a strategy that was told to me by a CA professor. So
Okay,
that strategy is called a sandwich method. So
okay,
sandwich method is what he termed it.
okay.
It is why when you start with easy
Uh-huh.
chapters is what you feel easy about, you
Right.
feel confident about. So these chapters were the chapters that I had in my CA curriculum and were
Uh-huh.
continuing over here. So which is like basics of options, basics of futures,
Right.
something like that. You start with the easy chapters, you get a grip over the syllabus, then you have the difficult chapters, the chapters that you seem difficult in the middle. So all my quantitative aptitude was in the middle, and
Okay.
then you again come up with easy chapters, which is somewhere like book 1, which is more
Hmm.
of theory and
Theory.
less of solving questions. So
Hmm.
you like start with easy, you top it with difficult, and you then end with easy once again. So that is the sandwich concept that he introduced, and I felt that the concept is very suitable to me, because to start with easy is a good thing so that you
Hmm.
get a grip over the syllabus,
Right.
then you do the difficult ones, and then you end on a good note with the easy chapters once again.
Right. That's a very interesting strategy. I mean, I would
Hmm.
definitely recommend all these students who are going for the November exam now. They can use this strategy in the last 10, 15 days as a part of their revision methodology. So now, one more question related to the January exam, that when you were going, so there was like 1 month before the exam, you had an option to defer, which a lot of students did. Why didn't you defer it?
So as I mentioned, there was already a lot of irritation because of the postponement of exam.
Hmm.
Secondly, I was confident that I am now prepared after 1 year of my studies. I am now
Okay.
prepared for the exam, so I don't need to defer it because of lack of preparation. The only small fear was the fear of the pandemic, but then that
Hmm.
fear is present everywhere. So there,
Okay.
I did not think that there is any point in postponing the exam once again.
Hmm.
So there was never a second thought about the January attempt for me.
Perfect. Perfect. So now, when you went for that exam on the day of the exam, you might have seen very less people coming for the exam. Okay.
Hmm.
So does that created any pressure or anything that came to your mind? Okay, that okay, so many less people are coming for the exam. Right? Was there anything on that part?
To be honest with you, I was happy that students are less, because then the percentile that I need to score becomes a benefit for me, because there are already many students who are scoring zero because they are absent.
Right.
So you naturally come up the ranking order.
Right.
So that
Right.
was a good thing for me. So I took it as
Okay.
a benefit,
Positive thing. Yes.
positive thing. Yeah.
And in the exam time, okay, so 4 hours. What in your exam was paper pencil exam? That
Yes.
was a last paper pencil exam kind of for Indian students. Okay, because we did not have the May exam also. Now, when you did the paper pencil exam, what was your approach? Did you start from the first question itself, or you use some other approach? Okay, in terms of
Uh,
picking the
no,
question.
I No, I started with the first question
Hmm.
because, as you told us during your sessions in the beginning, that there is no order in which the questions are placed.
Right.
The questions are not book one, two, three, four. So you never
Right.
know which question from which book will turn up.
Hmm.
So I thought that there is no point in selecting from where to start. So I just happened to start with the first question.
Okay. And so, out of that entire 100 question, just a rough number, how many questions at the end you were able to solve properly? That you know that okay, I've solved correct. I'm somewhat confident. So, what was that number?
So to be confident about the answers, it was around 80 to 80 to 85, I guess.
Right. And so
80.
basically, those questions you were able to put proper time, and you say that
Yes,
okay, these were the two answers. You were able to eliminate one, and you reached to a certain point.
yes,
Rest
yes. So
15.
I knew that based on whatever workings or thinking that I had, my answer is correct.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Now going to the uh, last 15 question, 15 20 questions, which what was that? What happened with those questions? Was it very
So
difficult, or what was the issue that happened?
So in my particular attempt, what I noticed was that questions from book two, quantitative aptitude, were more on the theory side and
Hmm.
not on the calculation aspects of the chapters. So that were a bit difficult for me,
Hmm.
because when you talk about quantitative aptitudes, you always think about calculations,
Right.
but then this was more of a theory part. So you need to think about how to calculate, and then you actually don't calculate because you just need to be ready with the theory part of it. So that was a bit
Concept.
difficult for me. Concept, yeah.
Okay.
So for the last 15-20 questions, half of them I was slightly unsure about it.
Hmm.
So it was like either A or B. I'm not very sure about it, but it was a calculated guess, I would say,
Okay.
that okay, this seems to be fairly correct, but I'm
Okay.
not confident about it. And about the balance 8 or 10 questions, it was a pure guess because I was not able to solve it due to time constraints, or because I had no idea about what the question really was asking me.
Okay. So primarily you were able to properly do say 80 question, rest 10
Yes,
calculated guess, and rest 10 you were basically just take 10 came for the exam.
yes,
So there was some time pressure that you felt. That means four
yes,
hours,
sure.
100 question. It is not as easy because mentally during our college times also we have prepared that 3 hour 100 marks.
Hmm.
That is how we are actually prepared. So that thing was not applicable to this. So you have to deal in a very different way. Now, coming to this part, when you were preparing, were you using any specific? Were you also solving, keeping in mind time as a time as a constraint to your solving particular questions when you were preparing on before the exam?
So while preparing for my exam, I solved one mock paper with exactly 4 hours time frame.
Okay.
Other than that, I did not solve one entire paper. But the good thing that benefited me was that you took a few sessions of question and answers where you gave us approximately 1.5 to 2 minutes per question to solve,
Correct.
and that was really beneficial so that you be quicker with the calculations part of it, because theory questions are you know or you don't know.
Hmm.
The calculation questions is where you need to give some time and solve them correctly. So the question and answer sessions that you took, which gave us constrained timelines to solve each question, was really beneficial.
Okay. Okay. Great. Now, after the exam, okay, when you came out of the exam, what was the thought process that you had? I mean, did you feel that okay, I'll clear the exam, or what is going to happen? What was the state of mind?
So since I said that I confidently solved about 80 questions or so I knew that there would not be a problem in passing the exam. I was
Hmm.
not sure about what quartiles I would get, but then I was pretty sure that I would not fail.
Okay. Okay. So, what was the quartile that you got for book two?
Book two, I happily scored third is the highest quartile, right?
No, first is the highest quartile.
First, okay, so second.
Second quartile, basically. Okay, great. So basically, you had that fear when you started. You tackled that fear, and then you were able to get into a good quartile during the exam. So that
Yes,
is a good.
yes,
That's a good part, basically. See, because you had the book three, book four, you had some understanding about that book. So scoring a good number was not mentally satisfactory as at all, basically. But when you go and solve and get good result for that book, that means you have done a good amount of practice. Now, after the result, okay, what happened? I mean, primarily, was there any benefit that you saw? And now I'm talking not only from the salary perspective or changing of job perspective also, but primarily getting good work or recognition within your company, within your friends. So I want to understand that part. What happened after the result came out?
so as I'm working in a CA firm,
Mhm.
so I would not term it as recognition, but I surely am a worthy candidate for clients such as banks or investment banks. So to be a part of the team that is working on good reputed banks and investment banks is
Mhm.
surely something that I was aiming for when I was preparing for FRM being in a CA firm. So to
Okay.
be a worthy candidate for that team is what I really gained out of this.
So you got those projects or those related work
Yes,
related to bank and financial. So that was
yes,
one thing that helped you primarily. And
yes,
obviously, in the future, it is going to help you when you go for a new job or new opportunities in the future. FRM is going to help you to term yourself as a different candidate because you have a CA
surely.
plus FRM, because that gives you a specialization into one particular field, and also you have a very strong degree of chartered accountancy, which is well recognized in the industry. So wonderful. I mean, I think so. I hope that this entire discussion that we had is going to be very helpful for students who are preparing for the exam. One last question, okay? If anybody comes to you and asks you for any advice related to FRM level one, what two, three advices that you would like to give to them?
So firstly, I would like to say that whatever be your background,
Mhm.
reading once is not enough. So I, coming from an educational background that had concepts which are in the FRM syllabus, I would still say that reading once is not enough.
Mhm.
Secondly, solving questions is really important, because to complete the paper in 4 hours is not easy. So if you solve them with a time constraint, it is really going to be helpful for you. And solving at least one mock paper so that you get a grip of how the exam is going to be conducted. is what I would suggest to my friends who are joining or registering for the part one.
Perfect, perfect. Great. So thank you very much, Apoorv, for joining the session, and best of luck for your upcoming exam. And we hope to see you again for similar session for part two and guiding the students on your part two preparation also after the exams are done. And also thank you very much for taking out time from your schedule to do this session. That's really going to be helpful for students, especially from this CA fraternity to who are going to come and do this FRM exam. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for helping me and guiding me in my part one as well as the current part two preparations.
Thank you. Thank you, Apurva. Thank you for it. Same.